And so, yeah, and
Wow.
if you're in front of like 100 million new people, there's going to be a huge surge of new traffic.
That's
And so,
huge. I didn't even think about that. What is streamer fraud?
for those of you in the audience, feel free to answer this one. So, what our distributors define as streaming fraud typically in the contract that you sign with them are, bots, fake plays, fake streams, or paying maybe even a marketing service who then goes and inflates
Mm.
the streaming numbers artificially. If
Inflates.
someone real is not actually listening to your song, then they purport that to be streaming fraud. I got a song with an artist on Def Jam, and they're acting like I got bots on that song. What it's from an artist with millions of followers. So that's one of the reasons why if you collaborate with other artists who are
Right.
bigger than you get exposure to their fans and then you get a big,
Huge
boost in
influx. Yeah.
streaming. And that was, part of our kind of problem with
Wow.
TuneCore. If you guys have been following that, of just like, our client paid $25,000 in advertising on Facebook. And so, yeah, and
Wow.
if you're in front of like 100 million new people, there's going to be a huge surge of new traffic.
That's
And so,
huge. I didn't even think about that scenario being considered by, DistroKid fraud. You just have a successful collaboration from someone with a bigger audience, and now all of a sudden you get an influx out of nowhere on your latest song, and then they pull your song down. I don't know if that's happened, but if you've had something similar, let us know in the comments. I didn't even think about that scenario. I'm just thinking about bots and hiring marketing services or just playlisting. I didn't even consider if you just did a collaboration with a bigger artist. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, and that's a part of the, when people come in and retain me, to reach out to distributors and try to get this situated and whatnot, because they're like, this was a mistake, you guys messed up. And then I'm dealing with all of these customer service people over at Spotify, or I'm dealing with customer service people over at TuneCore, and I can't get a response. And that's always the
Yeah.
same thing. It's like I have literally been trying for months or years. They keep blowing me off. They keep doing the copy and paste of like, here's some articles to your
Yeah.
response, and people just want to pull their hair out, which I get. And
I've
just
seen that
you
in the
get
comments. You guys have been leaving that on all the videos, just like you just trying to get a hold of your distributors. And honestly, that's a huge thing for me. Like if I'm working with somebody, like communication is everything. If I have a question, I need it directly answered and taken care of. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Doesn't the major labels use bots for Spotify? Absolutely. I'm sure
well,
you
and
could
that's what
speak
Spotify's. Yeah.
firsthand at knowing.
Yeah, I know, guys. I've been doing this now for almost 10 years, and so I know from personal experience just how the big labels work. And so this whole, even with the TuneCore situation, they're calling our client a fraudster, he's a scumbag, and all this stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me? Even if what you're saying is true about this alleged streaming fraud, which you never proved, I'm like, a little artist, a little independent artist who goes and pays for some fake streams to try to be competitive, compared to like labels paying for hundreds of thousands, because their artists have to be competitive at a whole different level. They have to get millions of plays to be like considered not trash. But I'm just saying, like, even if what you're saying is true, and then for you just to be like, but we're forfeiting, his royalties,
We're
and
keeping it.
because we're the ethical ones here. Anyway, I
That's
digress.
what I'm saying. It's crazy. It's crazy
Yeah.
what goes on. I thought distributors help increase your fan base, or do they just serve the fans you already have? Don't they also make sure you get paid from other people using your music? Aside from putting everything on your website, does Curtis actually explain any direct consumer strategies in music? Okay, so that was on the Curtis King video.
Distributors and labels, they usually are not promising to do anything. And there's this, maybe like someone says it to you. It's an A&R guy. He'll be like, we're gonna make you a big star, we're gonna get you on tour, we're gonna all this stuff, and then I get the contract. I'm like, just so you know, in the contracts, they never promise that stuff. And in fact, today we're gonna go through terms of service of a distributor. And in the terms of service, what I can at least, tell you in advance is that they're not saying we're gonna help build your audience. In fact, I think I highlighted the portion where it says, we make no guarantee that your
Yeah.
music is
Yeah.
gonna get heard by
Yeah.
anyone. So no, unfortunately, typically they don't. Some bigger boys like the Orchard, In Grooves, they do deals with majors, and so sometimes they'll put in some like ad dollars, if they want you, and they think they can make money off of your music and stuff like that. So sometimes they will, but like when I was with Symphonic, they made me all kinds of promises. They're like, yeah, we're gonna, promote your new album and all this stuff, and they never did. So yes, they may make promises, but typically no, they're not going to do anything.
I love the independent hustle and the grind, but I'm still curious. I don't see how or where superfan listeners will listen to your music. I love the idea and the split from streaming model, but where would listeners conveniently listen to your music in a world beyond file ownership? I think that's an interesting question. And the thing of it is, it's about educating your audience. When you buy records and you do download them to your phone, you can still add them to Spotify. You can still add them to your Spotify playlist. Just the same as you would, when you're listening to music. There's an option. Hit the little gear icon and you can add your local files from your phone. It's not like you have to just listen to it within a different music app or whatever. You can incorporate it into your already listening stuff. You can put it in the same playlist as your other music if you wanted to. That's what I'm doing. I think a lot of it has to do with just educating the audience, because the audience fans want to support you, especially your super fans. With sync licensing, how can you avoid your music being used in content you don't want to be associated with?
Here's the thing. So in the sync licensing course, I talk about this, but I'm just gonna tell you guys. So there's like 4 different ways you can get your music into TV, film, games, all of that. And when you, for example, work with a licensing house, so a company that all they do is pitch stuff. If they sign you, they pitch your stuff and they
Yeah.
take you out of the mix, so you don't have to have the headache, you don't have to negotiate and all that stuff. You have to make sure when you are negotiating that contract that you make it super clear. You're like, this is the type of stuff I'm not okay with my music being in, because if you don't, you give them, what is it, carte blanche?
Carte blanche, yeah.
You give them free reign to do whatever, right? And not that, they're gonna be like, I want Mr. Space's stuff and like some porno, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
most companies will use logic and whatnot, but every once in a while, of
People
course,
make
there might be a
moves.
misstep. But then, in the other ways you can get your stuff licensed, which includes your efforts of reaching out to music distributors and all of that, then you are in control of who you submit to. So if you're
Right.
like, I don't want to be in this kind of TV show, you're not going to submit to it. So it's about knowing all the ways that you do it and then having the license agreement. And anyway, so all that stuff is
But if you're
in that,
finding
you want it.
stuff that's just ending up in stuff that you didn't want it to, and you didn't pitch anything to a sync house or something like that, then you might want to contact an entertainment attorney to see what we can do about that.
Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com. So I can hire a lawyer and use my own contracts. Can I do admin work myself or outsource it? I want to set my own terms. These contracts are trash. Yeah, so here are 2 options. If a client's coming to talk to me, I can just do stuff from scratch. What you need, I'll build it, I'll give you a price quote upfront, all the things. If you bring me your own contract template, that may cut down on my time if it's a really good template. If you bring me a contract template and it's horrible,
It's
I'll just
trash.
be like, it's going to take me so much time to revise this. I literally would rather just like start with
Do it
something
from
maybe I
scratch.
didn't have. So it depends. If you have contract templates though, you're using something good. Have something. Eventually though, especially if you're using the same contract templates over and over and over, get an attorney to take a look at them. It's a one-time investment, and then you can change names, you can change amounts and things like that, but make sure the template is good to go.
And that's definitely something that we have available to you on topmusicattorney.com. If you need contract templates, we have the most important ones right there, with video explainers for each one, breaking them down in the same
And
similar kind of
just
fashion.
guys, just so you know, I did that because they're discounted. I specifically did that, and they're on Top Music Attorney if you do need them, because if you go to any law office, it's going to cost you double.
Right.
And so at least you had a place you can go, you can get a video, you can get the template. So that's just a resource for you.
So you can make them buy a shirt to get the downloads and on the email list. Absolutely. Bundles. Do bundle packages. Make the incentive for it. Don't just give away everything, or do it less. Is it possible to use a karaoke version and then sing over that and post on YouTube?
A karaoke version can mean so many things. So just if we're saying that it's a pre-recorded version by someone else, if you sing over it, you're sampling. And if you're sampling, you have to get permission from the person who created that karaoke version. But if you're creating your own version, right? So you do all the instrumentation, you produce it, you do all the things, and then you sing over it, then it's a cover song,
Yeah.
right? You just made your own version of the song and you're okay to do that. It's a world of difference between if you do a cover song, you're protected under the law, generally speaking. Bad things usually don't happen too often with cover songs if they're actually true cover songs. If you sample and you're like, this was a great instrumental by Drake, I'm going to use it and do a whole new top line over it, you're exposing yourself to statutory damages, which are $150,000 per infringement. It's a huge deal. It's a huge difference.
I would
So I hope you
imagine
find that helpful.
if you buy like a karaoke machine that has like a CD book of of covers, instrumentals and stuff in the background, and it's like you're singing your karaoke on YouTube and stuff because you're just taking a super generic version of a song. I'm sure you still can't do that either. But
Yeah.
I don't know what the usage is on those karaoke things, but just stuff to don't take like free YouTube beats and just sing to
I do
them.
love the point you just made, which is the caveat is if in the karaoke version, the terms of service of you, whatever, they give you a license, right? If
Right.
it says, hey, you're okay to do your own version and post this on YouTube, then you're okay. Right. So I'm talking about if you're just there's no net, you're
Right.
flying free, you have no idea.
I'm just thinking more of just like they're just taking it off they find a version, a karaoke version that's on YouTube, and then they're downloading that version and just singing over it. So that's kind of how I'm taking the question.